And joining me to talk more about Putin's visit in Beijing and China, Russia ties, we have James Jatras from the American Institute in Ukraine. Welcome back to the broadcast, James.
Thank you, Susan. Good to be here.
Long-standing relationship here. Is there anything that really jumps out at you? Any breakthrough deals?
The deals themselves cover the waterfront, energy, military cooperation, financial cooperation, and so forth. And I think the news piece summarized that quite well. I don't think it's so much the individual deals that matter, but it's the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. That there's clearly a strategic cooperation that's going on between Moscow and Beijing. And it is that desire to deepen that cooperation that leads to these individual deals. And I think in part it's a reflection of, I hate to say it, strategic malpractice from Washington and the Obama administration that has managed to alienate both of these very significant powers so that they do have a very strong incentive to work closely together.
Overall, China has made great strides, as you know, economically, even though there's been a blip here lately. But Russia is having some real problems, especially in the oil sector. Tell us, is China really giving more to Russia, giving it an economic boost?
No, I don't think so. And it's interesting. Some of the coverage indicates that one of the things that slow down some of the deals is that the Chinese are not giving anything away here to the Russians. They're driving hard bargains on each one of these deals, as they should. They're looking out for their own interests, as are the Russians. But this notion that somehow the Russians are flat on their back because oil prices have been low, this is nonsense. So this is wishful thinking on the part of some people in the West. The Russian economy does not operate on dollars. It operates in rubles. And they're paying their domestic costs in rubles, and despite the low prices, which have edged up somewhat, they are not doing anywhere near as badly as some people in the West would like to think they are.
The SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, accepting new members. What more do we know about that?
India and Pakistan are both going to become new members, it seems, in 2017. There are other countries that are interested in at least being observers to the SCO. And again, when we talk about strategic cooperation and maybe to some extent a counterbalance to the Euro-Atlantic structures that have just been thrown into turmoil by the Brexit vote, this is again where I think Western policymakers, especially in Washington, are missing the boat. What should be our top priority? Not confronting China, not confronting Russia, but cooperation against terrorism. Here we are in a country where our leaders are actually helping terrorist groups in places like Syria. Does that make any sense for the American people? It certainly doesn't for Russia and China and the rest of the global community.
I want to talk to you a little bit more about Brexit. How will the relationship change here with the EU in light of what's going on?
Well, obviously, the British relationship is going to have to be negotiated with the European Union. I think the bigger problem is really on the European Union side. That this is sending shockwaves through the continent. We hear now, France, Netherlands, Italy, other countries are saying, we want to vote too. People talked about the hit that the pound took. The euro took a much bigger hit. Right. In the wake of Brexit. So I think that's the real news story.
Well, what about Russia itself? Will it change its stance at all with the EU in light of this?
I think what we're going to see is across the board in Europe, not only in post-Cameron leadership in the United Kingdom, but also in the European Union, more and more people, the French Senate voted to lift sanctions against Russia. The German business community is very keen to do that. I think at some point, sanity is going to start sinking into Europe, that they need to have a constructive relationship with Russia, and this kind of policy is not going to get them anywhere.
It's certainly going to have a huge ripple effect, isn't it?
It
just
is. Day
by day, as the story unfolds, you're thinking, wow, more and more people and countries are affected.
It's historic. It's historic. It really is.
It is. Well, James Jatras, thank you. It's great seeing you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
If you like what you just saw, follow us on social media and visit our website, cctv-america.com.